Joined today by Coach Mark Schmidt as we preview the Bonnies' upcoming season, set to start November 10th here at the Raleigh Center against Niagara. And Coach, last week at the Atlantic 10 Media Day, you found out the Bonnies were picked second in the A10 this season, best ever in your tenure as coach. I'm sure that's a little bit of an unusual feeling for you. You're used to being the underdog. What's your reaction to that? And then what have you talked about with your players in getting ready for that type of season?
My first reaction was from when I talked to the coaches, like, thanks for putting more pressure on me. That was number one. And then secondly, I think it's a tribute to our guys, the players that have come before that have helped build this program, to the players that we have today. It was a struggle early on. We wanted to gain respect. We wanted to become competitive, and as the seasons have gone along, we have. And I'm not big on preseason predictions. I think, as everybody knows, the game is won on the floor, but I think it gives us some legitimacy. It gives our guys some respect. But at the same time, we've got to go out there and play. And, you can have expectations, you can have potential, but it's about doing it, and that's what we're about to try to do.
You touched on expectations, and I'm sure you as a staff and as a team feel some of the expectations from outside the Raleigh Center walls, but inside, what are your expectations, and what are you telling your team you expect of them here as we start the season?
It's like every year. Our goal is try to be as good a team as we can be. And we can't, and there's expectations, and you hear all the magazines and being second in the league and preseason, all that stuff, and that's all good. But we got to block out the noise. We can't worry about what people are saying about us. We have to control what we can control, and that's how hard we can practice, how much better we can get every day in practice. And so if we do that, then we'll be fine. We just can't get caught up in thinking that, since we're picked second, we're going to end up second. We never believed those guys when they picked us, 14th, 12th, 13th, whatever. We thought they were crazy. And we have that same opinion. They didn't get smarter. They're the same. For the rankings, it's for the alumni. It's for the magazines. We have to just make sure that we're doing what we have to do to prepare for this season, and every day trying to come to practice and get better. And if we do that, then we have a chance to have a good year.
You start off the year with 3 consecutive home games. So as we sit here in the Raleigh Center today, let's talk about defending home court and how difficult it is to make the NCAA as an at-large. I would assume, as we've learned that lesson a couple of years ago, then defending home court becomes even more important. Yeah,
the Raleigh Center, and I've said this from the very beginning, it's one of the best places in college basketball. The passion of the students, the passion of our community, there's nothing like it. And we have to continue to, and we've done a good job of protecting home court. You're always going to, slip up here or there. But for the most part, the fans have been into it. We play much better at home, and that's the credit to our students, the community. But we got to continue. We have some tough games. As you alluded to, our first 3 games are at home, starting off against Niagara, and that's been the goal. We want to be 1-0, on November 10th. So we just got, the home court is not going to, because we're playing at home, that's not the reason why we're going to win. We have to play well at home, and we've done that for the most part, but it's big. It's 80% of home games are won by the home team, and we got to make sure that the Raleigh Center is another year of opponents coming in and being intimidated, and we have to play well, and I think we're capable of doing that. When you talk about the NCAA tournament, it's so far off that and it's coach talk, but you got to take one game at a time. And right now we're taking one practice at a time. But in order to have a good record and be worthy of an at-large bid, you've got to protect your home court. You can't let you can't slip up at home and expect at the end of the year that those games that you slipped up aren't going to hurt you.
Sure. Certainly you can understand, though, fans want to talk about the whole schedule, the whole year. And part of that is the non-conference schedule. Yeah. Very challenging this year. You said it might be the most difficult non-conference schedule in your 11 years as head coach. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It is. There's no ifs, buts about it. It's, Niagara is a much improved team. They have 5 guys back. That's going to be a tough opening game. And then when we go down to Florida and play Maryland, and then we play, if we can get by Maryland, we play the winner of TCU, New Mexico. TCU is another ranked team. They got their whole team back. And then you look at, the other teams that have come. Yale is one of the top teams in the Ivy League. We got to go to Rochester and play Vermont, who won, I think, 18 straight games in their league last year, and they got everybody back. It's Northeastern is a good team. It's a really difficult schedule, but we wanted to do that to give us the best chance of, if we don't win the Atlantic 10 tournament, to give us the best chance of getting in. Going to Syracuse is, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever beat Syracuse ever, at the Dome. So that's going to be another challenging game. So it's going to prepare us for the Atlantic 10 for sure. We just got to make sure that we go into the Atlantic 10 with some momentum. And it's going to be difficult because the schedule is hard. There's no easy games on our schedule, where in the past you may, you look at it and say, that's a win, that's a win. That's going to be a tough game. Now it's really, really challenging. And, I know our guys are looking forward to it. But we're going to have to play well in all our non-conference games to win.
Let's talk about offense. Scoring has not seemed to be a problem for your teams, especially recently. Last year led the Atlantic 10 in offense. What, in your mind as a coach, are the keys to an efficient, effective offense?
It's about execution. I'm a big guy. And from an offensive standpoint, the hardest thing to do is attack a defense 5-on-5, a set defense. And the hardest thing defensively is, to get back in transition. So my philosophy is we want to try to score in the first 12 seconds of the shot clock. Get the defense, attack the defense before it sets up. And a lot of it has to do with, when on missed shots, is you want the opponent's coach to be telling his team to get the heck back. We want to put them on their heels. And I think one of the reasons why, we score a lot of points is we play fast and we score before the defense sets up. And then it's execution. When you don't have anything in the open court, now you got to run stuff. And, we try to every day, and you talk about execution. It's not, no matter what you run, you can run the best plays in the world. If you're not screening right, if you don't have the timing, then the play's not going to work. So we work on that, on a daily basis of making sure that, everybody knows what they're doing, and we execute to perfection. And if you do that, then you're going to get good shots. Now you're going to knock down those shots. But if you're not executing, you're not going to get good shots. And if you don't get good shots, and you, for the most part, you're not going to, score a lot of points.
Let's talk about the other end of the floor on defense. Has there been anything different that you're working on fundamentally in terms of defense for this season?
Not really. We've got to be committed to the defensive end. And at times last year we were, and at times we weren't. We struggled early, especially early on, defending the three. And, you look at the Canisius game where, they torched us. We couldn't keep the ball in front of us, and consequently, when the ball gets into the paint and they kick it out, and then they have open threes. And we got to do a better job of keeping the ball in front. For offense starts on dribble penetration, defense breaks down on dribble penetration. We got to do a better job of guarding. We talk about guarding our yard. Guarding 3 feet to the right and 3 feet to the left, and then the fourth foot is our teammate. So it's got to be more. It's not like we haven't worked on it. We work on it every day. For the last 11 years. But it's the commitment. We don't have a shot blocker. That hurts us. But instead of being a shot blocker, we need charge takers. And I think we have that. And it's just that we have to do a better job of getting back in defense, setting up our pack line defense, and keeping the ball out of the paint, forcing contested jump shots, and keeping them to one shot. And I thought last year we did a decent job of rebounding the ball. We just, especially early on, we allowed too much dribble penetration. But as the season went along in the Atlantic 10, we did a better job, and we got to continue to do that.
Jalen Adams, we could probably spend all day here talking about Jay Adams, but let me ask you this question: as a coach, going into this year, his senior year, how do you look to maximize and best utilize him, knowing full well the attention he's going to receive from opposing defenses?
He last year he received as much attention as he's going to receive this year. The good thing is that he's got a running mate that's really good as well. Jay can't be a guy that feels like he has to put the whole offense on his back. Jay has a great understanding of how to play. He plays at a great pace. He has a really good IQ for the game. So we run a lot of stuff for him and Matt, ball screen stuff, coming off staggers. But he has to, Jay, the next step in his evolving as a really good player is that leadership skills. He's got the skill set. Now it's being a leader on the court, coming to practice every day, pushing those guys, not worrying about himself, but worrying about his teammates. And that's, he's a leader of the team. He's one of the captains, and he just has to take that next step. He's not the most vocal guy. He leads by example, but sometimes as a leader, you got to pull guys aside and motivate them a little bit. And I think that's the next step. But in terms of our offense, Jay's going to have the ball in his hands 90% of the time. As he plays well, we'll play well. He can't feel like it's all on him, but the point guard is the quarterback. If Tom Brady throws 5 interceptions, the Patriots aren't going to win. Jay has to play well for us to win.
Matt Mobley, you touched on him a little bit. Aside from his obvious ability to score the basketball, what are Matt's best attributes?
His athleticism. He can shoot the ball. He's got a good skill set. He can shoot the ball from beyond the arc, and he can take guys off the bounce. If you can only shoot the ball, then guys can get into you and make him put it down. But he can do both. The thing with Matt, he's gotten much stronger. Where last year, sometimes when he drove, defenses would knock him off. He's got much stronger. His thing is he's got to continue to, when Matt drives, he's looking at the rim. And he has that scorer's mentality. Sometimes he's got to drive and get other people involved. But both him and Jay have to shoot at a higher percentage from threes. They got to take care of the ball a little bit better than last year. But both those, they're both first-team All-League players for a reason. They're ultra competitive. They have a great skill set, and they're leaders. And I think with Matt, with his added strength. And now, last year was hard for him, especially early, because he sat out a year, and you never know how it's going to be coming back. And he just came in and was really successful right from the very beginning. But I think he knows he had some weaknesses that he had to improve on, and I think he's done that in the summertime, especially his strength. So we're expecting him and Jay to be guys that can really score the ball for us and lead our team.
I'd like to ask you kind of the same question about the remainder of the returning players, to talk about each of them, what improvements you've asked them to make since you sat down with them at the conclusion of last season, as you do at the end of every year, and what you expect from them heading into this season. So let's start with Idris Taki.
Yeah. Idris is that glue guy. If you don't really know basketball, you would think, sometimes he gets criticized because, he's missing a jump shot or he turns the ball over. But you appreciate him as a coach because, when there's a loose ball or a rebound that needed to be made, he gets it. He's unselfish. He doesn't need to take shots. With Idris, they played a lot. Some teams played triangle and 2 against us last year, and they made him shoot the ball from beyond the arc, and that's one thing that he needed to improve on, and I think he has. If he's not our hardest worker, he's one of our hardest workers. He's always in the gym. He's working on his skill set, and that's the next step. He's got to be able to shoot the 3 ball more consistently, and I think he's a captain. He's got the respect of his teammates, but that's if there's something that he really needs to improve on is the shooting percentage beyond the arc.
And your 4th returning starter, sophomore forward Josh Ianni.
Staying out of foul trouble. Not getting 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes of the game. I think as a freshman, you don't know. He was green. He didn't understand, how hard you had to work. He didn't understand how physical it is. But the biggest thing with Josh is, he had to get stronger, which he has. But it's understanding that, when to be physical and when not to. When, sometimes he crosses the line and the referees have to call fouls. But with Josh, his jump shots is something that we do a lot of ball screening stuff, him screening and popping and shooting the ball. He's got to do a better job of rebounding this year. He averaged like 3 rebounds a game last year, and for a center, he needs to be 6, 7, 8 rebounds. But I think with his added strength, and he, not that he had a great freshman year, but he had games which would give him a lot of confidence going forward. And he knows he can play at this level. He knows he can be successful at this level. And now it's, just like all of our guys, they need to make that progression from freshman year to sophomore year. And the hope is that he will do that.
Speaking of that, a guy who made a good progression last year, LaDarius Griffin.
Same thing. He had some moments last year where they were like, wow, he's got a chance. And, it's with LaDarius, it's a lot of confidence. Sometimes he'll make a mistake and his head goes down and it's like he feels sorry for himself. He had a great summer. His skill set is getting better. He's shooting the ball better. He's as athletic as anybody in our league. But I hope that his confidence level is up because of some of the success that he's had. But he's a big part. He's one of the X factors. He's someone that didn't have big numbers last year. That needs to be, he's going to be one of the top 8 or 9 guys, and he's got to go in there. Now he doesn't have to get 20 points and 10 rebounds, but he's got to be that athletic guy that's on the ball, getting in passing lanes. When we play a 1-3-1 or a 1-1-3 zone, he can be at the top of the zone. He can really create a lot of problems. He's just got to be active and play with confidence. And like I said, his skills are getting better. We're expecting him to have a good year for us.
Imani Hooper.
Same thing. He didn't have as much success as Josh or LaDarius had, but you look at the Duquesne game last year at Duquesne, we wouldn't have won the game without Imani. And, he's lost weight. He had that baby fat, and he's down to 245 pounds. He looks much better. He's worked extremely hard over the summertime. He's someone that has to bring physicality to the game. He's got to be able to guard the post. He's got to be able to rebound the ball. He's someone that had some success, so he'll have some confidence, but he's got to continue. He's got to take that next step, just like Josh. From the freshman year, I think you can tell a lot about a player between their freshman and sophomore years. Because now as a freshman, you come in, you're green, you don't understand what's expected. Now you go through your freshman year, now you know what you need to work on. And now you've worked on it, now let's see how good you can be. And we feel like Imani has a bright future for us.
And last but not least, Nelson Caputo.
Same thing. He he's in a tough spot because of Jay.
Right.
But to me, he's really unselfish. He's got to be able to come into the game and give Jay and Matt a rest. He's got to be able to hit that open jump shot. And at times last year he did it, and at times he didn't. He's got to be able, when there's an open shot, he's got to be able to knock it down. And he's got to gain my confidence that he can come into the game and push the pace and make the right play. And he's gotten stronger. Right now he's dealing with a little bit of a groin issue. But he's someone that has to come in, push the pace, get other guys involved, be able to hit that 3-ball from beyond the arc. And I think he can do that. And he played, 8 minutes a game last year in the league, and hopefully he can do a little bit more with that.
Now you have a cast of new guys, 4 of them. Kind of the same thing as the returning players. Talk about each of those 4 new guys from your perspective, what you've seen in practice of each of them, and give us a little bit of an overview of what kind of game they're going to bring to the Bonnies this year. Let's start with the guy who's not actually new, but first time on the court for us after 2 years sitting out, Courtney Stockard.
Yeah, as a coach, you feel, so bad and disappointed at what he's going through. But you got to give him credit. He didn't feel sorry for himself. Breaking your foot one time is hard enough. Breaking the second time I just can't imagine what he was going through. But he kept a positive outlook. He changed his body. He's taken advantage of the 2 years where he's been hurt. When we first recruited Courtney, we thought that he'd be, one of the main guys. And that was 2 years ago. And I think that, he's getting his legs back. Knock on wood, the foot is fine. He's gaining some confidence in the foot. I can just imagine that, when he cuts and stuff, especially early on, that, you're thinking about how that foot's going to react. But I think now he's got that out of his head, and he's been practicing well. He's getting his legs underneath him. He's getting more confidence. And he's going to be a guy that plays the 3, and when we go small, he's going to play the 4 like Denzel did for us. But, he has to continue to work on his jump shot. and work on his confidence. He hasn't played in 2 years, and which is hard, especially trying to play at this level. But we're expecting him to be a guy that's is going to be help us, not just from an offensive standpoint, but a guy that can block some shots and play multiple positions.
Another guy coming off an injury a little more recently than Courtney is junior forward Denny Gay. What do you expect from Denny?
Yeah, it's hard. Denny, he had a great sophomore year at Kilgore, 15-8. He was, made the all region team, and when we saw him play, he's athletic. He plays hard. He can rebound. He can defend. He can score around the basket. When he came up, he playing open gym. He hurt his shoulder, so he had shoulder surgery. So he's only been doing like 5-on-0 stuff. Next week he's going to be cleared where he's going to start being able to play 5-on-5, and he's critical. In terms of coming off the bench and giving us, just like Imani, giving us some physicality, giving us some rebounding inside, some scoring inside, and just another big body. And he's behind because he hasn't been able to do anything 5-on-5. But hopefully when he gets healthy next week and he starts playing 5-on-5 and he can get back into banging bodies, he's going to be somebody that we're going to rely on coming off the bench and to bring that physicality.
Now you have two freshmen. Let's start with the one whose name is the most difficult to pronounce, but Chef Galukulandi.
Yes, Chef is really athletic. Just like every freshman, he's trying to learn the system. And when you're trying to learn the system and trying to play, your feet are always slower because you're thinking. And both him and Isaiah are in that mode right now of trying to, we put a lot of stuff in, and now they're thinking, where do I go? Where do I go? But he's athletic. He's got a good skill set. We're playing him at the 4, almost like a face-up 4-man. But he's really athletic, and he's getting better every day in practice. And hopefully he'll continue to get better. And once he masters what we're trying to do, then that athleticism and his understanding of how to play can take over. Right now he's just like every freshman, he's thinking before he moves, and by the time he moves, the play's over. But he's somebody that's coming in, learning the plays, and and he's had some good practices.